In this gentle journey you are Genghis Khan. The year is 1171, you're 9 years old and your father's horse no longer walks the steppe. The chill in the air is not only from the wind, it is from loss, from hunger, from betrayal. And yet you will survive. You will rise. You will forge a destiny written not in ink but in dust and blood and endless sky. If you enjoy stories like this, leave a like and let us know in the comments where in the world you're listening from and what time it is over there. We'd love to hear from you. Now close your eyes and let the steppe carry you. The sky's pale and cold above you. The wind whips through the tall grasses, bending them like servants before a storm. You ride beside your father, Yasuke, on a shaggy, broad-shouldered horse. The saddle is still too large for you. Your legs barely reach the stirrups, but you grip the reins with all the focus your small fingers can muster. Your breath steams in the air. Your father doesn't speak much, but his presence is a constant. Towering, straight-backed, proud. A chieftain of the Bojigin clan, feared by many, respected by more. He carries the scent of sweat, horsehide, and smoke. The scent of a man who commands warriors and holds memories you don't yet understand. You're riding east toward the Olkhon River. There, you're to meet a girl, your future bride. Her name is Berta. You've never seen her before, but your father has already arranged the union. It is tradition. It is duty. You don't protest. You nod, trying to look older than your 9 years. When you meet Berta, she doesn't look away. Her gaze is calm, her posture unafraid. She stands beside her father, her black hair braided with care, and she looks at you not like a child, but like someone taking measure of a partner. You think briefly that you'd like to sit beside her by a fire, that you'd like to hear her laugh. The arrangements are made. You leave her behind for now. The promise will be fulfilled when you come of age. You turn your horse west, and that is the last time you see your father alive. The word comes days later. Poison. You're still a child sitting near the campfire trying to whittle an arrow shaft from soft pine when the messenger arrives. His face is tight, his mouth a line. He dismounts without a word, hands your mother something wrapped in cloth, your father's sash. The Tatars. They lured him to a feast with honeyed words and slaughtered him with sweet wine. Your mother, Herlun, does not cry. She straightens her spine and sends the messenger away. That night she burns the sash, her eyes unblinking as the flames rise high into the blackness. You sit beside your younger brothers, Kassar and Temujin, confused. The fire crackles, but no one speaks. Your father's allies abandon you within days. They once drank kumis from the same bowl. Now they take your herds, your yurts, your warriors. The Bojigin name no longer carries power. You are no longer a chief's son. You are prey. The family is cast out, and the years that follow are sharp and bitter. You live not in a tent, but under patched hides held up by driftwood. You eat what you can find, wild onions, roots, field mice. Some nights, nothing at all. Your stomach growls so loudly that even the birds seem to flinch. You learn to trap marmots, to strip the meat with flint knives. You fish with lines of horsehair and crooked thorns. You steal from burrows. You learn to follow crows, because where they circle, something dead lies beneath. You're no longer Temujin, the son of a chieftain. You are Temujin, the boy who scavenges, and yet you do not break. Your mother keeps you alive. She teaches you how to braid leather cords, how to read the sky for storms, how to slice meat thin enough to dry before nightfall. She's the only reason you survive the winters. The other reason? Your will. You will not die here, nameless and small. That truth lives somewhere deep in your chest. Beneath the bruises and frostbite, beneath the growl of hunger, it beats steady. You are not finished. You are 12 when the breaking point comes. Your half-brother Bekta grows bold. He hoards the best cuts of meat, takes the pelts for himself, acts not like a brother but a master. You argue, you shout, he laughs at you, you say nothing more. That night you and Kassar creep out before dawn, bows in hand, hearts pounding. You find Bekta walking near the ridge, unaware, humming softly to himself. You notch the arrow. You hesitate only for a breath. Then you let it fly. It strikes his shoulder. He turns, shocked, and then the second arrow hits. He falls. You bury him with your bare hands. The ground is hard and your fingers bleed. Your mother does not speak of it when you return. But from that day forward, no one questions your place at the fire. You're not a boy anymore. More years pass. You grow tall. Your voice deepens. Your arms thicken with muscle earned from work, not war. And then they come, men on horseback, faces hidden beneath fur hoods, Taichi-Ud warriors, old rivals of your father. They ride into your camp like wolves and seize you before you can lift your bow. They bind your wrists and place a heavy wooden collar around your neck, the Kang, her prisoner's yoke. You stumble as they drag you through unfamiliar valleys, the collar grinding into your collarbones, your ankles muddy and raw. They laugh. They say the son of Yasuke makes a fine servant, that your name means nothing. You say nothing. You watch. You listen. You endure. In their camp you haul water, clean hooves, split wood. They taunt you, spit in your food, jab you with sticks, but still you watch. You memorize the patrols, the guards, the weaknesses. One night a herdsman takes pity on you. He leaves the enclosure gate unlatched, says nothing, only meets your eyes and nods once. That is all you need. You wait until the stars wheel overhead, until the guards grow drunk and the wind howls loud enough to mask your footsteps. You run. Through thickets and marshes, across frozen rivers, barefoot and breathless. Each heartbeat is a drum, each step a prayer. You don't stop until your knees give out, until your legs no longer obey, but you are free. You return to your family, older now, harder. Your brothers embrace you like a ghost come home. Your mother holds your face in her hands for a long time and says nothing. And then, a miracle, you're 16, and Berta waits for you. You ride east again, back to the family who promised her hand. They honour the vow. You marry beneath the open sky. The union is simple, meat, milk, a quiet chant, but the bond is unbreakable. Berta's eyes are still calm. You look at her and think, this is the first step forward. You build a camp by the Onon River. You fish, hunt, trade. The days are peaceful, and for a brief moment the world holds still. But peace does not last. Night falls one spring, and with it comes smoke. You're away from camp when it happens, seeking grain perhaps, or allies. When you return, your men are scattered, some are dead, your tent is torn, trampled, and Berta is gone. The Merkits, old enemies, they stole your wife to humiliate you, to show that you are weak, that the Borjigin name means nothing. You gather your remaining men, not many. You ride in silence, but fury rides with you. Your horse gallops across the darkened steppe, hooves pounding like war drums. The wind stings your cheeks. Ash still clings to your cloak from the ruined camp. You do not speak. The silence stretches among your riders. They know what this means, what it means to take the wife of a Borjigin man. They also know that your eyes have changed, not with sorrow, with resolve. Berta is gone, taken by the Merkits in the night like a stolen whisper. You ride not for glory, you ride for her. But you cannot do this alone. You turn first to the only man your father ever trusted, Togrul, Khan of the Keret. His yurts stretch long across the valley floor, his guards clad in sable-lined armour. You dismount before his fire, your cloak torn, your face grim. He recognises you instantly. Temujin, he says, voice rough like old leather. Your eyes look like your father's. You bow low, not as a servant, but as a son to an elder. And when you rise, you speak not of vengeance, but of unity. I need your help, you say. The Merkits have taken my wife. Togrul studies you for a long moment. Then he nods. The son of Yasuke does not beg. He asks, and he will have my answer. You ride from his camp with a promise to earn an army, but you're not done. You send word to another, Jamuka, your Anda, your blood brother, the boy you once hunted marmots with, who swore loyalty beneath the eternal blue sky. He rides to your side, a dozen warriors at his back, his banner trailing in the wind. When he sees you, he smiles wide. I thought you were dead, he says. Not yet. He claps your shoulder. We ride as one. 3 forces now ride beneath the same sun, your Borjigin men, Toghrul's Kerit warriors, and Jamuka's loyal fighters. You gather in the open plain, your horses circling, dust rising in sheets. Bows are checked, blades honed, saddles tightened. Your heart beats slow, steady. This is no longer just a rescue, this is a declaration. At dawn, you strike. The Merkits sleep, their guards lazy, lulled by their own arrogance. Your army falls upon them like a sandstorm. Arrows arc through the sky, black against the pink dawn. Horses scream, warriors fall. You ride at the head, your blade unsheathed, your mouth dry. You do not shout, you focus, each heartbeat a choice. You search the camp with fire in your veins, cutting through tents, shoving aside corpses, your hands slick with blood not your own. Then you see her, Berta, in a cart, her hands bound, her lips split, but upright, alert. Her eyes lock with yours, and still she does not flinch. You leap from your horse, tear through her ropes, pull her into your arms. I came, you whisper. I knew, she replies. You hold her tightly, the world around you blurring. She smells of smoke and damp wool. Her breath is warm against your neck. You can feel her heartbeat, fast but strong. She is alive, and she is yours again. The victory is total. The Merkits scatter into the hills, leaderless, broken. But you do not linger. You ride back across the plains with Berta before you, your arms around her, shielding her from the wind. She does not speak much, but she rests her head against your chest. And that is enough. The sun sets behind you. The old world begins to fall away. In the moons that follow, life returns to rhythm. You and Berta build your camp anew, this time larger, sturdier, near the banks of the Caroline River. You trade for goats and tents. You raise yurts with your own hands. You eat from the same bowl, sleep beneath the same hide. Her bruises fade, her laughter returns. And then, a whisper of new life. She is with child. You stare at her across the fire when she tells you, unsure what to feel. You move slowly to her, kneel beside her, and place your hand over her stomach. There is silence between you, but it is full. The baby grows, and with him, the rumours. Some say the child may not be yours, that the Merkits had time, that shame clings to her womb. But you silence the whispers. You name him Yochi, meaning visitor, and raise him as your own. Because Berta never once asked for rescue, because she never once begged, because she is your wife, and loyalty is not broken by chains. You will not let the world define your son by the cruelty of others. You will define him by the love you have chosen. Berta becomes more than a wife. She's your counsellor, your tether. When the clans bicker, she reminds you of what matters. When your warriors grow restless, she brings calm. When you doubt yourself, she speaks with a quiet certainty that settles the storm. At night you lie with her beneath the stars, her hair falling across your chest, her breath soft against your skin. Some nights you whisper plans of uniting the tribes, of punishing the Tatars, of building something greater than revenge. She listens, and when you finish, she says, "You will do it because no one else can." It begins with small alliances. Clans you once feared now seek your protection. Word spreads. Temujin keeps his word. Temujin does not steal wives or flocks. Temujin rewards the brave and punishes betrayal. You allow men of low birth to rise through skill. You offer spoils based on merit, not name. It is different. It is dangerous, but it works. Warriors gather beneath your banner, young, eager, loyal. Your camp becomes a village. Your name becomes a storm. One day Jamuka returns, but not as a brother. He rides with new banners, silk-trimmed, golden. His eyes are sharp now, calculating. He sees your success, your rising power, and he resents it. "We are both sons of the steppe," he says, "but one of us must lead." You offer peace. He demands obedience. You part without words, and prepare for war. That battle lies ahead. But tonight, you sit beside Berta once more. She threads a needle through a torn sleeve, her hands steady. her voice low as she hums an old melody. You rest your hand atop hers. Everything you have, everything you will become, began with her. Not with conquest, not with rage. With a girl who looked you in the eye when you were 9 years old and never looked away. The wind tastes of iron. You stand on a ridge overlooking a sea of warriors. Your warriors, thousands of them. Borjigin men, Kerite allies, young archers and hardened raiders. Below, to the west, another tide of men waits. Jamukha's host, banners snapping in the wind. The morning sky is grey, heavy with cloud. You've avoided this for as long as possible. But today you meet your brother in battle. Not by blood, by oath. You still remember the moment you first bound hands with Jamukha as children. The warm summer wind on your faces, the river behind you, glittering. You sliced your palms open with a shared blade and pressed them together. Brothers, Anda. He taught you how to shoot from horseback. You taught him how to gut a marmot with a single twist. You shared food, furs, fire. You promised, beneath the eternal blue sky, that neither would rise above the other. But that was before titles, before tribes, before power. You saw it coming. In the months after Berta's return, as your influence grew, word reached you of Jamukha's discontent. He mocked your reforms, said you gave too much freedom to low-born men, ignored tradition, threatened the sacred order of the clans. He said a true Mongol does not rewrite the steppe, but the steppe is already changing. The old ways, where birth alone decided worth, are broken. You watched good warriors die hungry, while sons of lords drank fermented milk in golden cups. You offer something different. Order, discipline, justice. Men rally to your vision. Jamukha sees only rebellion. He declares himself Gur Khan, universal ruler, a title borrowed from the steppe kingdoms of old. It is a challenge, a declaration, and a betrayal. You send messengers. You offer peace. He returns them with their hair shaved and faces scarred. The ultimate insult. There is no choice now. The camps gather. Your side. Herders, former slaves, craftsmen, warriors without noble blood, but with fire in their eyes. His side, the old aristocracy, the sons of powerful houses, well-armed, proud. He has more men, but you have purpose. Night falls before the battle. You sit beneath a flap of your yurt, sharpening your blade. Bert sits nearby, mending a glove. She does not speak often when war is near, but she does not leave your side. You look to her and say, "He was once my brother." She meets your eyes. And now he is your rival. You cannot have both. You nod slowly. Outside, the campfire smoke curls into the sky like ghosts. Dawn breaks, cold, still. Your warhorse stamps and snorts. You ride to the front. Your warriors form lines behind you, tight and ready. Across the plain, Jamukha appears. He rides a tall, painted stallion. His armour gleams with lacquered plates. His helmet is high and curved like the wings of an eagle. He raises a hand. You do not return the gesture. You lower your arm. The horn sounds, the steppe erupts, and the battle is brutal. Arrows darken the sky. Horses crash together. Screams rise and vanish. You lead from the front, cutting through chaos. Your blade an extension of your will. You fight with precision. Not rage, not pride. Every motion is measured. Every order clear. You've trained for this, not only in strength but in unity. Your men fight as one. Jamukha's army, larger though it is, fractures. The nobles argue, some retreat, others charge blindly. His belief in birthright betrays him. By nightfall, the field is yours. Bodies litter the plain. Smoke clings to the ground like fog. Jamukha's banner falls. You ride through the aftermath in silence. The prisoners are brought to you. 70 young warriors who surrendered after the battle. Your generals ask what to do with them. You hesitate, and then you give the order. They are executed, not by sword, but by boiling alive. It is the darkest act of your life. You do not watch. You cannot. But you do not stop it either. Mercy is a luxury you cannot afford. Not now. Not with the tribes watching. They must know what happens to those who stand against you. Still, that night you do not sleep. The cries echo longer than the clash of steel. A few days later they bring you Jamuka. He was found in a ravine, hiding with a handful of loyal men. He does not beg. He does not weep. He stands tall, his robes torn but his pride intact. When he sees you, he smiles faintly. "You've become what you hated," he says. You say nothing. He steps forward. "If you are truly a Khan, grant me a noble death." You nod once. They break his back without spilling blood, the custom of noble execution. And your brother is gone. You do not speak for a long time after, but something inside you shifts. The road ahead is clear now. Lonely, wide, dangerous. The tribes are watching. The old bloodlines are broken. The new order is rising. You gather your men on a high ridge. You raise your sword to the sky and call out, not for revenge, not for title, but for unity. You speak of law, of loyalty, of destiny. And the wind, as if in reply, lifts the edge of your cloak. Below, 100 banners rise, and you know this is not the end of a friendship. This is the beginning of an empire. The sun rises slowly above the Onon River. Light bleeds into the blue-grey sky, casting long golden streaks across the dew-covered grass. You rise before the rest. The air smells of pine, damp earth, and smoke from last night's fires. Your boots press into soft, wet ground. Behind you, your tent stands tall. Not because it is ornate, but because its shadow stretches longer now. Everything you've built begins here. It has taken over a decade since Jamuka's fall. More than 10 years of negotiation, warfare, loyalty, gained and tested. But today, the steppe does not tremble under war. It waits. You are 38 years old, and today, the tribes will name you Khan. It did not happen all at once. After Jamuka's death, you did not rush to claim a title. You travelled, met with clans, sat with enemies, ate from the bowls of men who once tried to kill you. You listened, and more importantly, you remembered. Each tribe had its own customs, its own prides, its own wounds. You did not ask them to forget. You offered them something stronger. Belonging. Your laws were not favours, they were foundations. You declared that no man, not even a Khan, could steal another man's wife or daughter. You outlawed the kidnapping of women, a crime that had shaped your own life. You abolished the ancient right of the aristocracy to rule by blood alone. No more sons of lords riding without merit. Only the worthy would command. And you gave the lowborn something no Khan had ever given. Respect. Word spread. Temujin does not rule by fear alone. He rules by fairness. He remembers. Not all welcomed this. Some old nobles left. Others whispered curses into their drinks. But their sons, their daughters, they stayed. They saw what you offered. Structure, purpose, a future. You divided the tribes not by blood, but by decimal. Units of 10. 10 men formed a squad. 10 squads a company. 10 companies a regiment. 10 regiments an army. It did not matter if a Tatar fought beside a Kerit, or a Naiman beside a Mankut. They obeyed one leader, one law, one banner, yours, and it worked. Raids became campaigns, camps became cities, chaos became power. Then came the invitation, a Kurultai, the great council of all Mongol tribes. Not forced, not threatened, invited. They gathered on the banks of the Onon, where the wind carried the scent of sage and warm horsehair. Thousands of warriors, elders, blacksmiths, shamans, merchants, women with flint knives, children with wide eyes. Banners fluttered from every ridge striped with the colours of a dozen clans. The sound of hooves was constant. Even at rest, Mongols ride. You stood at the centre, no throne, no dais. Just earth beneath your feet. You raised your hands, and the murmurs stopped. You spoke not of dominance, but of memory, of exile, of hunger, of betrayal, of the moment your father died, of the moment you killed Bekta, of Berta, stolen and returned, of Jamuka, your Anda, and the moment he fell. You did not pretend to be pure. You spoke of blood and mistakes and cruelty. But you also spoke of law, and peace, and unity. You spoke of what the tribes could be, together. A single step, a single people. One heart beating in 10,000 chests. The shaman stepped forward first. They burned mare fat, threw bones into fire, sang to the eternal blue sky. The flames crackled, the smoke curled into the heavens, and then they bowed. They did not name you Temujin, they named you something else, Genghis Khan, universal ruler. The crowd did not cheer at first. There was only stillness, a silence so wide it swallowed the river, the horses, the birds. Then a cry. A warrior pounded his chest. Another raised his bow. 100 voices rose. 1,000. You stood in the centre of the storm, not as a man, but as a movement. The unification was complete. The steppe had chosen. That night the fires burned high. Meat roasted on spits. Milk wine passed from cup to cup. Songs drifted into the night sky. You sat with Berta beside the river, a wool cloak draped over both your shoulders. She leaned into you, warm and quiet. "You're no longer Temujin," she said, voice low. You looked at her, "But you are still mine." You kissed her forehead and whispered, "Always." In the weeks that followed, you set your reforms in stone. You codified the Yasa, the great law. No theft, no lying, no bearing false witness. Religious freedom for all, shaman, Buddhist, Muslim, Christian, so long as they served the law. You set up messengers on horseback, fast riders spaced days apart, able to cross the empire in record time. You offered positions based on skill, not bloodline, and you promoted those who had once been your enemies, if they bent the knee with loyalty. Some called it strange, others called it dangerous, but the results were clear. For the first time in history, the Mongol tribes were not just a swarm of raiders, they were a nation. With unity came strength. The Tatars, who poisoned your father, crushed, their chiefs executed, their children folded into your ranks. The Jin dynasty to the south, arrogant, bloated, began to tremble. Their envoys grew quiet, their walls thicker. The Silk Road began to hum with travellers once too afraid to cross the open plains. And your name, Genghis, began to carry weight in foreign tongues, in cities you had never seen, on maps you had not yet drawn. But not all battles are fought with blades, some are fought with choices. You had to choose between tradition and change, between fear and fairness, between revenge and rule. Each night you sat alone with those thoughts, watching the fire flicker in your tent. You remembered the boys starving in the snow, watching crows circle over corpses. You remembered the prisoner's yoke digging into your neck, the sting of rope around your wrists, the cold of mud under your knees. And now you ruled over all of them. Every tribe that once mocked your name, every chief who once rode past your camp with laughter in his throat, all bowed now, but you did not gloat. You worked, you built, you endured, because Genghis Khan was not a name for joy. It was a name for duty. The first snow falls softly on the plains north of Zhongdu. It melts on the fur collar of your cloak, vanishing as quickly as it touches. You sit astride your horse, overlooking a city you've never seen before. Stone walls stretch far across the horizon. Towers rise from behind them like jagged teeth. The Jin capital, the beating heart of northern China. Your scouts report that the people call it Zhongdu, the central capital. They say it cannot fall. You pull your reins tighter, your breath curling like smoke. They said the steppe could never be united. They were wrong then too. It begins with fire. Your siege engineers, men from far lands captured or recruited, roll forward wooden towers and great catapults pulled by oxen. You don't fear what you don't understand. If a tool wins battles, it is welcome. And so, you've absorbed Persian engineers, Chinese architects, Khitan masons, anyone who knows how to break a wall or build one taller. You surround the city. Each unit of 10,000 has a role. Outer cordons cut off trade. Inner groups harass night and day with flaming arrows. Small teams dig tunnels toward the foundation. The Jin soldiers try to respond, with boiling oil, with stones, with crossbow volleys, but they are worn. stretched thin, afraid. Your archers ride in wide circles around the perimeter each day, loosing arrows just within range, not to kill, to remind them there is no escape. Inside, famine begins. You know this not from letters or spies, but from the dead. Bodies appear over the wall at dusk, civilians, children, old men, thrown to you like trash, not as insult but as desperation. The city can no longer feed them. You do not blink. War is not a duel, it is a siege of the soul, and you are patient. When spring comes, the walls finally crack. You deploy the thunder carts, siege towers lined with hardened yak hide, rolled toward the breach. Behind them, your elite guards ready their curved swords and climbing hooks. You give the signal, and Zhongdu's final day begins. The air is thick with ashen screams. Your men flood the breach first, storming through with shields up, arrows rattling against iron helmets. At their flanks, ladder teams scale the smaller sections. From behind, the siege towers open, releasing more troops into the chaos. You ride only once the gates fall, not to lead, to anchor. The sight of your figure, mounted and calm amid chaos, is worth more than 10,000 swords. You fight through narrow alleys, blood soaks the cobbled stones, shops burn, lanterns shatter. You hear the crack of crossbows from the rooftops and respond with volleys of flame. You gave the Jin a chance. You sent envoys. They returned with severed heads. So now you take everything. By nightfall, Zhongdu burns. The walls are black with soot. The towers crumble. Civilians cry from behind closed doors. Some you spare. Others are trampled in the fury. You do not halt the momentum. Mercy can wait. Justice cannot. But this was only the beginning. Your hunger stretches west now. The Jin had held land that once belonged to nomads. But farther still, across deserts and mountains, lies a land of silk and minarets. Khwarezmia, an empire vast and proud, and rich. You send merchants first, always merchants. You do not crave unnecessary blood. They carry letters bearing your seal, request for trade, gifts, olive oil, silver, fur, incense. They are received in Otra, and they are murdered, everyone. The governor claims they are spies. You demand justice. You send 3 more envoys, Mongols dressed in ceremonial robes carrying no weapons. They are returned to you beheaded, their hair braided with dung. You don't shout, you don't shake, and you call for your generals. Burn the map, you tell them. We are going to redraw it. You ride with 100,000 men. No emperor has ever struck Khwarezmia from the east. They believe the deserts will stop you. That winter will stop you. That pride will stop you. But you've crossed worse. You split your army into 4, lightning spread across a darkened sky. Subutai and Jebi to the north, Yochi and Chagatai to the south. You ride with the central host. Together you fall upon the Khwarezmian cities like sandstorm and fire. You begin with Otra. The governor Inalchuk locks the gates and dares you to siege. You encircle the walls. You call forth your engineers again, this time with new machines, counterweight trebuchets, sulfur bombs, towers with movable ramps. For 5 months Otra resists. Then the wall crumbles. You flood in, you capture Inalchuk. You pour molten silver into his eyes and throat. Justice. Exacted. The cities fall in a pattern after that. Bukhara, Samarkand, Urgench. Each one fortified, each one crumbling. Your tactics evolve. You pretend to retreat, drawing defenders into open plains, only to encircle them with hidden cavalry. You use smoke to conceal movements. You dam rivers to flood enemy gates. You unleash rumours ahead of your armies, so that cities break before your hooves even reach their walls. Terror becomes a weapon sharper than steel. One city refuses to surrender. You surround it and build a wall. Round their wall, no one in, no one out. They last 3 weeks. Then they starve. You open the gates and find silence. Even the children did not cry in the end. But not all wounds are tactical. Nishapur, a jewel city in Persia. When you capture it, you leave it under the protection of your son-in-law. But rebels rise. They kill him, behead him, display his skull on a spear. You do not speak for a day. Then you send word. The city is to be erased, not punished, not raided, erased. Your forces level the buildings, salt the earth, kill every man, woman and child. Some say 100,000 fell. Others say 1 million. You do not count. Your daughter weeps in your tent that night, silent tears trailing down her cheeks. You do not comfort her. You make sure she sees what vengeance truly is. The Khwarezmian Shah flees. West, always west. You pursue him beyond the Caspian Sea into the Caucasus. He dies alone on an island in the Persian Gulf, chased not by blades, but by shame. But you're not done. You send Subutai and Yebe farther still, into the lands of the Rus. They battle at the Kalka River, where the Slavic princes gather to face the strange riders from the east. You are not there, but your generals do what you would have done. They feign retreat, lure the armies across river crossings, ambush them when their ranks are scattered. The battle ends with piles of corpses. The Rus leaders are captured, suffocated beneath wooden planks while your men feast atop them. So they die slowly, hearing laughter through the weight of death. And then you stop. Not from exhaustion, but from purpose. You return to the steppe, to rest, to rebuild, to wait. The empire now stretches from the Pacific Ocean to the edge of Europe. No ruler in history has conquered so much, so fast. But you do not hold feasts. You hold meetings. You assign governors, establish relay stations, enforce the law. You're not just a conqueror now. You're the spine of a civilization. Some nights you lie awake, not from guilt, but from memory. You hear the wheels of siege towers, the cries of surrendered cities, the laughter of Subutai beside the campfire, the silence after Nishapur. You remember Berta's hand in yours, the way she spoke your name before sleep. She is gone now, taken by illness, but her words remain. You will do it, she once said, because no one else can. And you have. You have reshaped the world, but you have also burned it. You breathe in deeply and prepare for the next campaign. The sun hangs low behind the mountains of Western Sia. Its light is softer now, not the blazing gold of your youth, but a deeper orange, stretched and warm like old silk. Shadows grow longer. The wind carries the scent of dust, dried pine, and the smoke of distant campfires. You ride at a steady pace, your horse's gait easy, the saddle worn to the shape of your frame. Your back aches. You do not say so. The men still watch you. You're 65 years old. But your shadow still leads the army. Western Shia defied you, after all the treaties, after all the years of alliance. When you marched west to destroy the Khwarezmian Empire, they withheld soldiers. They sent no tribute. Worse, they appealed to your enemies. So you returned. Not for wealth, not for conquest, for memory, for warning. Your army is smaller now, leaner, tighter. Not because you are weak, because you do not need more. The world knows your name. Cities surrender before your riders even crest the ridge. But Western Zia has walls, towers, pride. That is enough. You march in winter, through snow-laced valleys and icy ravines, over cracked rivers and bare stone paths. The horses shiver, but they move. Your sons ride beside you. Yorki is gone, lost before the Khwarezmian campaign ended. Some said illness, others whisper rebellion. You never knew for sure. But Chagatai and Ogedei are here. Tolui too. Each one strong, each one waiting. You do not speak of succession. Not yet, not while you still breathe. The cities fall in sequence. First, Karakoto, the Black City. You encircle it in silence, starve it, then flood its gates with cold water from the mountains. The walls crack in the frost. Your men pour in like shadows with blades. Next, Liangzhou. The defenders throw open the gates before your archers even draw. But Yinchuan, the capital, resists. They believe their walls high enough, their reserves deep enough. You remember what it was to believe in walls. You surround them. You do not rush. You let fear ripen. By spring, your camp stretches across the valley. The yurts are arranged in perfect rows, each with banners of horsehair fluttering. Fires glow in their centres. The sound of hooves on packed dirt never ceases. Messengers come and go like bees from a hive. You ride the perimeter each morning, speaking little, watching much. Your generals say the city will fall within weeks, but something weighs on you. Not fear, not doubt, just weight. One afternoon your horse stumbles. You grip the reins tighter, pull upright. No one sees, you ride on. But that night the ache in your chest does not leave, nor the stiffness in your legs. You sleep lighter, dreams come slower. You dream of your mother. Schlun, her face thin and fierce as she lit a fire with frozen fingers. You dream of Berta seated beside you, her hair braided, watching you with that same calm gaze. You dream of Bekta, of Jamuka, of silver poured like vengeance. You wake before dawn. You call your sons to your tent. They kneel before you, not as children but as generals. You look at each one. Who among you will lead when I no longer can? They do not answer. You nod. This is not the time. You point to Tolui. You will lead the remainder of this campaign. You will burn this kingdom to ash, but leave its knowledge, leave its books, its maps. We do not destroy wisdom, only arrogance. Tolui bows. Chagatai and Ogade do not argue. They know their time will come. That night, a falcon lands near your fire. It watches you, head tilted. You toss it a scrap of meat. It does not eat. It waits. Then it lifts into the dark sky and disappears. You grow weaker. The wound is not fresh, not from blade or arrow, but from within. A sickness, slow and silent. Your shamans burn herbs, sing prayers to the eternal blue sky, offer fermented mare's milk. You drink it, you thank them, but you know. You feel the closing, like the long ride home after war. Still you ride. Each day you mount your horse, you check the lines, you listen to reports, you issue commands, and when no one watches, you rest. Under trees, beside streams, you lie back on the hard earth and stare at the sky. It has not changed. Since childhood, since exile, since the collar around your neck, the sky has never changed. Only you. One evening your steward brings you a scroll, a report from Far East. Your messengers have returned from Korea. They call you heaven-born. You smile at that. Another brings word from Europe. The Poles have begun training new cavalry. They speak your name in fear, but also in awe. You're no longer just a man. You're a force, a shadow stretched across the world, but you still feel the cold. Your body fails you slowly. You begin to ride in a cart disguised under furs so your warriors do not lose heart. You sleep more. You eat less. Your generals ask if you wish to return home. You shake your head. I began this ride. I will finish it. You reach Yinchuan's outer wall at last. The siege begins. But you give no direct orders. Only nods, only signs. The battering rams are assembled. Tunnels dug. Your men flood the outer villages. And then, the flood. You order the Yellow River diverted. The water crashes through the city's eastern wall, drowning crops, fields, and defenders alike. They open the gates at last. Yinchuan falls. You do not celebrate, and you cannot rise from your bed. The air in your tent is thick with incense. You ask for your sons. They come, faces tight, backs straight. You speak slowly now. Do not let this empire break. Chagatai nods. Ogade places a hand on your shoulder. Tolui kneels. You raise a hand, trembling. One law, one sky. You close your eyes. You do not die screaming. You do not die bleeding. You die like the steppe, quietly, endlessly. You die beneath stars you once followed as a child. With dust in your breath and your name in the mouths of millions, your death is kept secret. Your sons honour your command. The army does not slow. The campaign continues, and your body is carried in silence, through forests, over rivers, across fields where once you starved. They bury you where no map marks. Some say in the Kenti Mountains. Some say beneath the waters of the Onon. Your guards kill those who built the tomb, then themselves. So none would know. So none could disturb the silence of your sleep. But your voice does not fade. Your laws hold. Your generals ride. Your descendants stretch your empire until it touches oceans on every side. And still the world remembers you. Not for kindness, not for mercy, but for will, for vision, for the quiet fire that never died. You were born a boy with nothing. You became a man who united a people. You became a force who redrew the world. You became Genghis Khan, and now you return to the sky that bore you